and welcome. It's April from Sacred Roots and
Jessica from A New Moon.
And we just summed up our astrology video, which you can also check out, which can pair with this. And now we'll go ahead and start the reading for today. We're going into the Gemini full moon, although these readings are timeless. So you might run into this energy anywhere from a week from now to a year from now to 10 years from now. It doesn't matter. So starting at the top of the reading, what I start with is the first one that comes out is be bold and make the first move, and the answers are coming. And interesting enough, the answers are coming are actually a Gemini full moon card. And so underneath this, making the first move, is a card that is in the stagnated position, which is upside down, which is have faith in your dreams. And Jess and I have this same deck, and she also drew it on her side. Mine is in reverse, hers is not. She doesn't read as much in reverse as I do, but so I get a lot of cards in reverse. But what that is telling me in the reverse position is that maybe we have lost faith in our dreams, or we have lost, the ability to believe that we can manifest our destiny, or that God has, favor for us. We might be, just disconnected from that right now, but there are answers coming, and I do think that they will come with this Gemini full moon as communication opens up. Okay, so that opens us up to the overall reading to get into it. And now I'm going to jump down into the subconscious layer of what we are dealing with this week or whenever you'd watch this video. So the first thing I get is the Ace of Swords, or in this deck, the Ace of Arrows. And the Ace of Arrows is about new information coming in, a new project. It's very, the Ace is about newness, and the Sword is going to be about logic or communication or something in this very logical realm coming in. And the clarifier I get is we are all connected. So whatever this is that is coming in is part of your destiny or your plan. And whenever I get this card, I always sort of get this idea that it doesn't matter where you start on this. As you can see, it's like a double helix where it all ends up, arriving at the same place in the end. So, this sword that you might be starting with, you might be hesitant, you might not be sure, you may be like, I don't know, but it's not always about making the right decision. It's about making a decision, because you're going to end up where you're supposed to be in the end, as long as you are following, your guidance.
Revelations of that.
Anything you want to say about it?
For me, I think I even touched on this last week or in a video that I had done earlier, and it was that idea of like, what brings me is to that card, there's all these choices that you're seeing out in front of you, all these paths that are going this way, they all end at the stop is, what's the experience that you want? Do I want to live in Florida where it's sunny most of the year, or this, that, and the other thing, or do I want to live in Michigan where it's cold and we have seasons?
And we have seasons. So I think this is interesting, being in the subconscious realm. I mean, this is a positive, I feel like, in the subconscious realm, that there's a newness there, that we may be clearing out some of the old.
So like if I lived with you versus if I lived in this house, it would be the same like path that you would go through. It would just be with you or with this person or with that person.
So do you think, being in the subconscious realm, that this Ace of Swords is about like things coming in and feeling confused about the newness of things? Like an uncomfortability with the newness?
Well, maybe childhood conditioning that makes you typically choose this path. And so there's like some subconscious things that might be coming up.
It might be like, this is different than what I've done, or that doesn't, I don't know if that aligns. Yeah, that's...
Or maybe how you acted before. Like, this is how I used to make choices based on my subconscious conditioning.
If it's within the logical realm, yeah. Yeah, because I was, this is a card that always is good in a reading, but for it to be in the subconscious, it's taken me a minute to kind of think through this, but yeah, this is kind of coming out like thinking about things. Yeah, you're right. Thinking about things in a different way. Whatever the childhood.
What you just did.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever the childhood conditioning is that we set our brain patterns, from 0 to 6. We're maybe rewriting those. We're going back in and rewiring how we think about things and rewriting our own story. And it's new. This is a new way of thinking. But trust that this new way of thinking is going to arrive us where we want to be, that we are all connected. And then the second card I get in this subconscious realm is the Five of Wands, the Five of Bows in this, and I get this in the upright position. So in the traditional tarot, the Five of Wands is about struggle. So in this particular deck, it says empowerment, right? But it's in the reverse. So it's still taking me right back to struggle. We are struggling, but maybe it specifically has to do with our ability to feel empowered in ourself. I'm definitely getting that it is like a personal power thing, so solar plexus, personal power, in ourselves. And the card that I get with this is seek the lesson. So what I get from that is that things have happened to you in your life that maybe make you feel disempowered because you didn't get this job, because that relationship didn't work out, because you got in a fight with your friend, whatever it is. And we're maybe feeling bad for ourselves, or like, oh, but really it's like, seek the lesson. Think about what that situation taught you. Because whatever it taught you is going to help you go forward and not get yourself in that situation again. But also there's a deeper meaning and lesson with that. So, it didn't work out for me to stay at that job, but what I really learned was a desk job isn't for me. Like, I just really don't do well with a desk job. So now I know I'm not going to apply to any desk jobs in the near future.
That was the lesson.
Okay, and then the advice I get for this, so that's kind of the issue that's going on in our subconscious, or the things we're working through. Jess did mention in our earlier video there's a lot of Chiron aspects, so that wounded healer. So we're doing a lot of work within that, so that subconscious realm is very significant. And the advice with this is the armadillo, but he is in reverse. Jess has a lot of personal resonation with the armadillo.
Well, and I just put out, this actually all speaks to me because of some things that I put out to the universe.
But this is actually in reverse. So what that tells me is, so the armadillo is really good at having this wall of protection, just this, in a moment's notice it can just and pull all this like armor. Like I just get like very warrior-esque, like these like shields and armor. But in the reverse, it's saying let it go.
Oh, okay.
Let the armor go. Maybe you're armored up for something, and it's like now's not really the time for that. You don't need that in this moment.
This is what I think is armadillo. So even my subconscious realm, right? So I was just using as an example earlier where, like, if I'm sitting here relaxed, I feel safe in my space. I'm not, we're just having this conversation. My body language is chill. But then April says something, and I like armor up, like I engage. And that's like the armadillo. He's kind of walking, he's got his shell, but it's like all of a sudden he goes, whoop. And it's like, that's how I feel sometimes when I, get wounded. And actually for me in the subconscious realm, and that's a very like Taurus energy, Uranus being in Taurus. Yeah. So we are all going through some armadillo moments where it's like Taurus is like that, where they're like, I'm walking through this and all of a sudden like, whoop, I'm going to close you out. Okay, yeah. Notice where that might be. You might be having those moments where you're like, and we're done.
Yeah, so call on contrary armadillo spirit to help you, differentiate when do you need that and when do you not. So that kind of brings me into thinking or talking about boundaries. And when we first learn about boundaries, we are kind of like the armadillo, like, wait, you're crossing my boundary, shield up. And then as we get more comfortable in establishing our boundaries, we start to learn, like, I don't always need to have a boundary with a shield and a sword and all that. Sometimes I just need to say, hey, this is my boundary, and I don't need all that armor. I just need to communicate with my throat, speaking of Gemini, and throat chakra in the current energy right now. So call on armadillo, contrary animal spirit. And then the medicine that I draw from the Bach flower remedies is going to help us with self-forgiveness, self-worth, and objectivity. So when we're looking at these lessons in the subconscious that maybe is making us feel disempowered, this new way of thinking, we may need to forgive ourselves for those old ways of thinking that weren't really serving us, or for not allowing ourselves to feel empowered because of whatever situation, devaluing our self-worth because of not seeing the lesson in it. So this is to help release guilt. self-blame and a feeling of unworthiness. So it's going to help us release these things. And the actual Bach flower remedy is pine, which can be purchased at health food stores if that sounds like something you would benefit from. These are flower essences, so they are actually living vibrations from living plants absorbed into water. And the advice that pine has for us is the worst guilt to accept is an unearned guilt. And the extent of one's guilt may be defined by how much it is experienced by the injured party. So this is about self-forgiveness. So whatever these subconscious patterns that we are rewriting, it's great that we're rewriting them, but we need to stop blaming ourselves or beating ourselves up for having had, you know, the upbringing that we did that wrote the patterns we did. Like we didn't, you know, we were born into homes that had, you know, whatever good or bad, you know, situations, and those were written into our subconscious patterns, and we're just breaking those. So we don't need to be mad that we were born in those situations. We just need to seek the lesson of what that situation brought us to be a wiser person today.
Absolutely.
So that sums up the subconscious realm on my end.
And I'm going to move into the masculine energy of what the masculine energy is going to be going through right now, or what maybe your inner masculine energy is going through right now. And I got, which goes with our Gemini theme that we have going on, is the throat chakra. So we have this where there's like a key, and I've been getting a lot of that recently, of like these communications that become like almost a key that unlocks a doorway that kind of takes you into a different path. So the masculine energy either needs to communicate something, like unlock that communication. There's some truth that the masculine needs to share, and to be transparent. So to be transparent in your masculine energy, to speak sincerely, okay? So to come forward with your truth. And then with that, I also got like maybe communicating in like, instead of communicating through written form, through text message, through email, where these things, these emotions, because we're in the masculine energy, like writing a letter or sending a text message might be more of a masculine way of communicating, because you're only getting words and paper.
Like, I'm like,
that's
why
it.
does she have this pen swinging around? Write the letter.
Right.
Or journal.
Where where communication might be more of a feminine approach, because you're going to see, like face-to-face communication, you're going to hear the voice tone, you're going to see their facial expressions, you're going to see the gestures. There's this ability to kind of go back and forth and to play off of, where when you are reading a letter or something like that, you're only getting those words. You're not seeing what their intention was as they were writing it, I guess is what I'm feeling.
But that's with the other. If you're journaling for yourself, that's different. I would definitely encourage the journaling to the self, because the actual process of writing it in our brains helps you separate it and store it, and actually like helps you put it in the past. So that actually, like, there's some psychology to the actual journaling for yourself. So for yourself, definitely do that. But I understand what you're saying is when it's with another, to see and have that physical experience.
Okay, well, and that stems off of a thought I was having of like different energies that have been in my life, and with the Chiron aspect and me writing them letters. Even if it's like my future boss, like I just have been seeing myself, and that would be masculine energy, right? Like writing a letter to my future boss. Like, this is what I, would need in an environment where I would like to work. This is what would help me to feel safe in this environment. Like, dear future boss, like this is the kind of employee I want to be. Or, dear future boyfriend or relationship, or your husband. Or like if April and I were having something, I would write her a letter. So maybe I'm still going to communicate with her with my words, but I'm going to write her a letter first, separate my thoughts, get them out in front of me, and then like read it to myself maybe, and then go and have that communication. Or just
because you might find that like, oh, that one sentence, those words may be a little harsh. Maybe I need to like choose different words to communicate that, so I know that she hears me and doesn't get defensive.
Yes. And so I get, through this honesty, I also get you're very close to achieving your goals. So I feel like if we start to communicate, it's going to get you closer to the goals that you're trying to get to. I'm gonna masculine energy, like the theme of what's gonna go on within your relationships this week is let go of control issues. So maybe when you communicate, maybe the blockage of why you're not communicating is because you can't control how the other person's gonna react. So maybe if you release that control of not knowing how the other person is gonna react, write them a letter first and then go forward. But again, using that letter for you, and then but using your physical body, your words to share with them. And what I get to kind of go down and elaborate on that theme for masculine or the men in our lives or your other partner that holds that masculine space is maybe you might be going through something that feels like you're in a one-ring circus. There's a lot of chaos going on, and it's really hard to communicate. Maybe the chaos is even in your own mind of being able to separate through the thoughts on how to even communicate how you're feeling, to let that feminine go. Because you're black, what I feel like is this chaos and confusion, either in your environment or in your mind, is blocking you from these joyful experiences that you might be wanting to move into. So your own control issues are blocking you, could be blocking you from these peaks of joy. And then how to kind of maneuver through that energy is I get the Knight of Wands upside down. So the Wands is all about our creativity, right? The way that we think and express ourselves. This is very Gemini. So and this is upside down. So it's like maybe these chaotic thoughts and stuff like that, they're blocking our ability because maybe we feel new in something that we're doing. So we're like nervous that we might mess it up, or think about like if I'm going to come and talk to April and I don't know how she's going to react to this, and I'm all crazy in my head worrying about it because I've never communicated like this before. I've never sat down. Typically, I've always, done it this other way.
That shoots me right back up to the control issues.
Yeah. Because we have to allow, these two wanted to come together, and it's the Five of Cups and the Death card. So it's like, again, the Five of Cups is like he's, got these two cups. The three cups are tipped over, and he's walking away within disappointment. So like maybe there's something been going on in your life where you're feeling defeated, and it's like, okay, well, let that be dead. Let that situation go, so that, again, like April was saying in her last part, is like, let that be the past. I learned that lesson. Learn it, acknowledge it, and then let it go. Stop.
You don't want to take that whole cycle over again. Mm-hmm. They didn't learn. Let me amplify that energy. Like, we don't want to do that.
No. So then I got at the end is the Judgment card. So the how to go forward masculine energy is maybe to not judge others so harshly and to not judge ourselves. And what our guidance is to manage through the death of something, the death of one way of communicating to others, the death of being afraid to move forward in these certain ways because we might be new at creating this way. And we're having all of these nervous, chaotic thoughts about it. Maybe we're judging our thoughts. Maybe in our thoughts we're like, oh, they would probably never hire me anyways because this, and this. Or, these self-defeating ways. Or like if I come to them and talk to them about this, they're going to yell at me. And, maybe like when you would get in trouble when you were a kid, your parents used to like scream and yell at you and get loud. And it's like that really traumatized you. So when somebody screams and yells at you, you like go back into that wounded child space. So it's like you have a hard time telling
Well, you're
people.
like anticipating it, so you're self-defeating.
Yes. Or you think they're just going to tell me I'm not good enough, to do this. So like maybe you're coming to somebody to ask them for an opportunity, and it's like you're already thinking that they're going to turn you down. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you're having all these chaotic thoughts that aren't serving your higher
self-defeating.
good. Mm-hmm. So within this Judgment card, okay, I got the Two of Cups, and so that's emotional balance. So again, like, are these thoughts and the stuff that's going on, the storyline that you're telling yourself, or maybe the storyline that you're projecting outward to other people, like, you're sitting here saying, this person is probably going to react this way by what I have to say. And it's like, well, maybe whatever this communication is gonna, like, whatever happens, this is telling us that it's gonna equal out and balance that, balance the emotions. The action that you take is gonna help to balance the feminine, balance the emotions. And then I got the 4 of fire, and that's contentment, peace, and abundance, a happy home life, and a successful completion. So in the beginning of this reading, I just get, again, this chaos and this conflict that's happening. And again, maybe it's in your environment, but also maybe it's in your own mind. You need to, that needs to be dead. Like, you need to kind of send that to Pluto, let it be transformed, burn it up, allow the emotional defeat to be there, accept it for what it is, radical acceptance, chaos and conflict, the puppy that wants to join our reading. Because what this is saying is that you're going to have an unexpected visitor. That on the other end of that is maybe going to bring in some contentment and peace. That at least after you have that conversation, you see how that person...
She's causing chaos. Sorry, guys.
You see how that person reacted through that environment. Now you know. Now you're on the other side of it. Even if you came and you communicated to them and they did yell at you, or it did not happen, you're like, okay, well, at least now I know. So it's not blocked anymore. Okay, go ahead. I'm going to let the puppies out.
Okay, so now I'm going to be moving into the middle realm, which is the here and now, the earth plane, what we are familiar with, kind of what's going on in our lives at present. So the first one that I drew is the 7 of Pentacles. And you can see by the imagery here that there is some sort of separating aspect or hierarchy that's being highlighted here. You can kind of see this painter guy who is, he seems unsure, like, I don't know if I do it wrong, that crow might bite me. And I think that this, to me, the pair of this where they're in harmony is the 3 of Pentacles, where they're all working together, and there's typically one more person in the 3. But in this one, there's this uncomfortability of, like, I might make a mistake and I might get in trouble from the authority. So that might be coming up in your life, this authority, whether it's, financial strain that sort of has this authority over your life. Your parents' your parents' disappointment, even if it doesn't affect your finances or anything, it still feels like it has this emotional authority over your life. In your relationship, is your partner, having, you talked about in the masculine, having some control issues, something within an uncomfortability and authority. Maybe at work there's somebody who tries to be authoritative or takes their authority to a level that it feels unhealthy. I just like want you to see that face there. He's just really nervous for the live over there. And the clarifiers I get with that is that I get security, so it definitely has to do with, the ability to feel secure. I mean, that authority is definitely not making him feel very secure. And then there's enlightenment. So what I get from those 2 cards with the 7 of Pentacles, that you may currently feel like that, or you're coming out of a situation that feels like that, or you've been in a situation that feels like that. But as this information comes in, it's going to change the way you look at it. So this enlightenment, or this, communication that's coming through, this logic that's coming through, your ancestors or God trying to speak to you is going to give you some enlightenment, which is going to allow you to rewrite the story about how, that authority interacts with your life, and to help you feel more secure.
Can I touch on that for a minute?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just to elaborate on that, and I feel like this is really important. So again, if you're coming to this video a lot later, or you're watching it now in our current astrology, what we have been picking up a lot in the readings that we've been sharing back and forth, or what we've been connecting with, is to listen to your ancestors. So again, like maybe even earthly guides that are here, and they're that you find that people are sharing things with you, that your ancestors using other people to communicate a message to you specifically, even if they're not an intuitive or whatnot. But we've been getting that card a lot recently. So there is a lot from the other side of the veil that is trying to say, like, I'm here to help you, I'm here to guide you, I'm trying to give you little nuggets. Like for me, I see, like this morning I got up and like I was thinking about my grandpa before I got onto Facebook this morning, and now I have goosebumps and chills. And whenever I think about my grandpa, I think of a cardinal. Like I always just think I see cardinals when I think about my grandpa. It's consistent for me. And so I was thinking about my grandpa this morning and something that he would have keeps happening would have been giving me advice on, and then all of a sudden I open Facebook and there's a cardinal there. So it's like my grandpa saying like, see, I'm here. So just notice that maybe if you give an association to something or this person reminds you like, oh my gosh, she reminds me of my grandma, and then she gives you this guidance. Sorry.
No, you're good. So yeah, we have been pulling a lot of ancestor cards, or but think about it as, it is literally your own family line, your own genetic line that is wanting to, give you messages. And who would be better than your grandma, your great grandma, your ancestry line to be able to help you, through these oftentimes patterns that we inherited in childhood, from the patterning, and that was, passed down. And of course they want to support us in rewriting that pattern and becoming, the best human beings we can be, stepping into our higher selves. So the second card I get in this realm of here and now comes to me upside down, unrevealed. So this is something that and I think these pair together, like this is how we feel about the situation. We feel this unfairness, this authority, coming down on our life and pressuring us, burdening us. And then the card that has yet to be revealed in our life that may be coming very soon is Judgment. So she also pulled Judgment as well. So here is, I'll just grab that so they can see, two different interpretations. This is the traditional tarot, and this is in the Alice in Wonderland deck. And so in this one seems a lot more like the gavel's coming down, right? Mm-hmm. Like that one is a little bit more like the gavel's coming down on this situation. And if you've been sentenced. And if you're the raven here on the higher side of, oh, I'm better than you, maybe that's something to fear. But if you're this guy and that gavel's coming down, you might be pretty happy because you're like, finally, justice is coming.
Or you feel like the gavel's coming down on you.
Right. So again, it depends on where you are in this card. Are you on top of your high horse, thinking, I just want to say it, I'm just going to say it, your poo don't stink. Are you there? It's a long way to fall down from that high space. Or are you the one down here feeling like someone is stepping on you? That's going to, probably make a difference in how you resonate with this justice card coming through. If you've been doing good, you've been doing good in your heart, then this justice is going to be a blessing in your life. You're going to be like, oh, thank God that justice is finally coming through, and I'm getting what I deserve, or the people that are treating me poorly are being called out, or are recognizing their misdeeds, or whatever it is. And they're apologizing to me. Maybe that gavel coming down as they are apologizing. So the clarifiers I get with this is that flow is in reverse, which meaning that we're not flowing with something, we are not allowing something to come to fruition, and maybe it is we're not allowing that justice to come through. And then in upright, there's a standstill. So this inability to allow things to flow in our life, to allow things in and out, and because it comes with the justice, it's like that equilibrium of things in and out. So if we take in an experience, let's say the experience is bad, let's say it's betrayal, and it comes in, and then we don't allow it to flow out, we don't release it, we're at a standstill. Even though we didn't deserve that betrayal, I'm assuming you didn't deserve the betrayal, we're still holding on to it by, holding on to resentment, not forgiving. We're still blocking the flow of our own life and at a standstill. So that's really like, allow the justice to come through, but you have to let go of things and forgive things, because part of the justice is the forgiveness. Well, the justice to yourself, like I'm going to forgive this person for betraying me because I don't deserve to hold on to this trauma anymore. I don't deserve to, have this pain in my heart. I'm ready to release this. The justice I deserve is to be free from pain and suffering.
Just like I was telling you before before we started this, is that I had a conversation with a friend the other day, and I had a really long meditation on what that energy meant to me. And it was like, either I have to be able to let go of you know, if I see this person at Meijer, or if I see this person here, there, or wherever, that I'm not going to feel like, so it's like, I just have to let that go to where it's like just another person at Meijer, or it's like, is this relationship worth it to me that I want to fight for it because, and kind of humble myself through it and acknowledge things about myself. So it's like I put myself on both. So I'm not going to carry that bitterness with me in Meijer when I see people. It's like, nope, it's not going to be there anymore. Or it's like, okay, this person is like, I don't want them to just be another person at Meijer. Like, they're really important to me. So like, I want to communicate with them, and open that up so that I can keep that in my life. And again, I had to not care what was on the other side of it, and just accept it for what it was. But I needed to get clear and calm and like okay with it within me, and not care how it was received on the other side.
And definitely, if you look at these cards right next to each other, I mean, if this is what is going on in our life, there's some sort of imbalance, and that is coming to the scales and it's being weighed. You know, this could really bring some release to a lot of people if you allow it. If you're not, you know, blocking the flow here, this can really bring a lot of relief. But this can also bring this can take you through a short term painful experience,
but it'll be over with.
The long-term release. So the thing is about this fear of release is if we refuse to release, if we hold on to things, we're going to have long-term suffering, you know, because we're going to feel this, you know, this like unforgiveness inside, this anger, that whatever this is. So there's this long-term space of uncomfortability, and then there's no release. But if we do this very short term of intensifying of this, you know, whatever this pain is we're experiencing with it, it leads to that long-term release. So sometimes it's like walking through that fear. You can't go around this situation. You have to actually go through it. Like there's a big mud puddle and there's no way to go around it. You literally have to walk through the mud.
And your feet might be wet for a little bit, but you're going to live.
But they'll dry out, and you'll go get clean socks and boots, and you'll dry it out, and you'll be fine. Mm-hmm. That uncomfortability when you're walking through and finishing your hike is like, man, I don't like that. But we can't avoid that passage through our lives. So the advice here to help you with that situation you may be finding yourself in this week or whenever you find this reading is the bear totem, which the bear is all about. As you know, they hibernate in the winter. We are in winter season, so it's all about going inward, into introspection, into an inner hibernation of going into yourself and really discovering, you know, what is this baggage that you're holding in you? You know, what is this this thing that's stagnating the flow? You know, this love that you didn't know you had. You know, this emotion that you didn't know you had when you know, some communication opens up. So this really asks you to just go within your own self. This is very attuned to like shamanistic qualities of healing, of self-healing, going within the self and healing in that, you know, it goes kind of along with the death card and the shaman thing. Like the shaman learns to heal by first going through the death themselves, going through the process of being hurt, you know, in whatever way they're hurt, healing that hurt, learning to let it go, death card, let it go, and then coming back and now being the healer because they successfully healed themselves. So this is about going inward and healing the self and evaluating, you know, how you feel about whatever that hierarchy issue is, however you feel about that lack of justice issue. Evaluate it, pull it up, you know, try to heal those wounds. Look at them, you know, feel them. What are you going to do with them? How are you going to release them? You know, are you going to have that conversation with your friend that you got in a fight in? Or are you going to, you know, just say that friendship's not worth it for me and I need to have strong boundaries with that? Evaluation. And the medicine for this is going to be from our Bach flower remedies, the cherry plum. Again, you can purchase that at health food stores. And this is going to help with fear of losing control, being explosive or irrational. So I can definitely say with these cards, you know, this could lead to an explosive situation. If you feel like this and you feel like that is necessary, it very well could lead to some explosive situations where you could lose control. And why would we lose control? If we get triggered and we're in dog brain. So that's why the bear is recommended, because if we go inward and we go in to look at these wounds and be honest with ourselves, we're going to be less likely to be triggered because we've already evaluated it. It's not going to be like I've been hiding this wound of betrayal, and when you touch it, I'm going to be freaking out because I'm going to be like, oh, I know I have that wound of betrayal. I know that I'm vulnerable there. I've
That's
talked
like
to
April
myself
and I
about it.
Have a really good, we both have a lot of PTSD in different areas of our life, and from the very beginning of our relationship, well, at least a year and a half into our friendship, like I have the tendency to point my finger when I talk. To me, I'm not being harsh. Like, I don't feel like being harsh. My grandpa used to talk to me like that all the time. I don't find it offensive. It's like it's passion. Where she's like, and please don't do that. And we had this conversation to where after a while, I didn't do it right away. But after a while, no, I was conscious of it because our friendship means a lot to me, that when I talk to her, that I don't do that anymore. And she does the same thing. Like, I know that when Jessie gets upset, so like when we've had conflict in the past, it's like she might want immediate,
I want to fix it.
she wants to fix it right
I
now.
want a solution.
But then I'm like, I need to go over here and be in Armadillo and process this for like 20 minutes, and then we can come back. So
20
it's
days.
Or 20 days. And so she's like, when we have these moments, she's like, okay, Jessie's doing what she needs to do to be in a healthy space so that we can have communication. Not, oh, she's ignoring me and she's blocking me and, she's acting ridiculous. No, this is what
Right.
Jessie needs to be safe. But I also know that when I do sink back, so again, it's equal, that like I know April wants to resolve this.
Yes.
So it's like I try to process through it, knowing that she's gonna want
Knowing that I'm
some
waiting.
form of
Patiently
communication.
or impatiently.
Yes.
I've learned to wait patiently now. But the idea of this bear and why that's going to be helpful and how we've been able to resolve, these conflicts and help each other grow, really. Honestly, it's helped each other grow by being kind with each other in these ways, is that when you do go into your own self and evaluate your wounds, you're gonna be less likely to fly off the handle when they get noticed by another, because you've already had that conversation with yourself. So when it comes up with Jess, okay, so with the finger thing, for example, like I already have had that conversation with myself. So when it comes up and she's doing this, I'm like, hey, can we talk about this? When you do that, it makes me feel like I can't focus because I'm staring at it because I'm like, it's like a knife. It's like a knife. So I was able to explain that to her without being reactive, because I had already taken the time in myself to acknowledge, that triggers me, why it triggers me. It may still not be irrational. I mean, it's still, like you said, like this is not offensive for you. So it may still be, in a sense irrational for me to feel this way about a finger, but the fact that I'm able to communicate it allows us to resolve what could be an escalation of conflict at times.
And then again, it gives me a choice of, and you can parallel this in different situations of, well, I want to point my finger. This is a part of who I am, and I don't want to change that about myself. So maybe our friendship shouldn't, or she's like, she always does that. She didn't make a change. Maybe I need to go over here because it doesn't allow me to be in a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
Where like for me, if somebody tells me like, maybe it's not my finger pointing, maybe it's Jessie, you're too emotional. It's like, well, I like to be emotional. I like that
Or
part
I can't
of
help
me.
it.
So, or I can't help it. So it's like, well, maybe our compatibility isn't there because, I like this part about me. And if this part about me is always going to trigger you, then that's not going to put both of us, either one of us, in a safe space.
And it's not right or wrong. Maybe I just, if that's the situation with Jess and I, maybe, instead of spending, 50% of my time with her, I spend 25% of my time. So then I'm like, I'm not resisting the challenge to grow as a person, but I'm minimizing it to a point that I feel safe, that I can challenge myself that much of the time. So again, back to the cherry plum medicine card. It is going to help us find our composure, have security, self-control, and stability. So this seems like a really great thing for this week and Gemini full moon, because it sounds like there's going to possibly be some conversations that could be reveal a lot of truth that might be difficult or heavy to deal with. This is a great remedy for that. And so the advice from Cherry Plum is to listen to what you know instead of what you fear. I just love that. Mm-hmm. Listen to what you know instead of what you fear.
Is you don't know what's going to happen. The fear is not known.
Okay, so discipline weighs ounces and regret weighs tons. Self-respect is the root of discipline. The sense of dignity grows with the ability to say no.
No.
To-
I like how you said that. You were like, no.
I've been doing a lot of readings on boundaries, and it's really important to have the ability to say no within boundaries when you need to say no. And the thing, and I talked to you about this a little bit, when you can have a boundary and say no. So I can say no to Jess. I don't like when you point the finger. It's a no for me. I don't know pointing your finger at me. And she can accept that no. She can not only accept that no, she can say, well, it's really hard for me to do that. I like to do that, but I will do it for you. See how many levels of acceptance there was? She accepted my no. I accepted that she didn't like my no. But then she still accepted, even though she didn't like the no, she still honored it. And it could go where she said, it went the other way, where she accepted that I don't like that, but she said, but I'm going to keep doing it because I want to. And then I have to accept that, okay, I let her know. She knows my feelings. I'm going to try to cope with this. So there's so many levels of being able to set your boundary and being able to accept another person's boundary, even if it makes you feel not good.
I agree. Okay, I'm going to go into the feminine aspect, and I think that this is actually going to play off a lot of what she was saying, because I feel like it did the same thing with the last one. The first card I get, which April also pulled, so that's why I feel like these are very linked right now, is have faith in your dreams. So emotionally, whatever is pulling you in a direction that you want to go. So it's like where maybe you've gotten a no, but you're like, but I really want to pursue this. And duality, as far as twin relationships, soulmate relationships, are going to be very relevant this week. So different people that are in your life. So have faith in whatever you're emotionally connecting to. Okay, is what this card is saying. It's all on how. Again, I get the truth card. You get truth on both sides. So we're mirroring again. There's going to be something that you're going to see. So there's going to be something that comes in out of a blind spot that is going to present itself out in front of you. That is maybe going to help you maybe you've been having faith in something, and something's going to reveal itself to you that's like going to, like what happened last night. Okay. So there's going to be something that you're going to see, some kind of validation that your dreams are correct, or like your intuition is on point with something. And I have a feeling it's going to have something to do with a past relationship, either a relationship from the past, or this new person comes in, like I was talking about earlier, where it's like, you remind me of my grandma. Like maybe that is that energy that's coming in and going to hold space for your grandma, even though she's not allowed to be in your life. Or you were like, oh man, that boyfriend that I used to have, like I really wish I hadn't have broken up with him because of X, Y, and Z. And it's like maybe a new person comes in, but they are a lot like this other energy that you had in your life. It's like this energy can't hold space for you anymore. So this new energy is going to come in. So as I kind of go off of that, is again to mirror the masculine side, is this on the feminine, your emotions might feel like there's a lot of chaos and conflict. Emotionally, you're like, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling frustrated. But what the universe is telling you is we're just heed the lesson. We're just showing you what parts of yourself are no longer relevant in your life anymore. Don't, try and avoid acting this way. Like if somebody's around you that they're acting in a way that you don't like, past life relationship, that also brings me back, is maybe this is a way that you used to act in the past. And now you're seeing it out in front of you, and it's like, okay, see, this behavior, it no longer serves your higher good anymore. And that's where I come back, as she's talking about a lot of this subconscious programming. And what I teach a lot to my clients is how to manifest your best life. And again, it's like sometimes you have to see what's no longer good for you, because it affects you emotionally. But also know that you are the writer of your story. You are manifesting these experiences into your life. So you are the writer. So where sometimes we might feel like we don't have, where like the masculine is like, let go of control issues. It's like maybe emotionally we feel like these things keep happening to us. Like this is the victim. It's like, this keeps happening to me. It's their fault. Like, this person is mean to me, and then another person comes into your life. That person's being mean to me. Out of your subconscious programming, you're manifesting and drawing these situations in your life, and until you start to see it for what it is, you're going to repeat the cycle. Yes.
You know.
So what I get off of that is, coming from this emotionally mature space. The Queen of Cups is like, she's gone through all of these things in the past, and it's like, okay, like the mom who's looking at the daughter saying, you know what, I remember what it was like to be 16 and to feel like girls are being mean to you, or to have that first boyfriend break up with you. And so the mom is going to give that emotionally mature advice to the daughter, where the daughter might be, but also within us, we have that 16-year-old girl inside of us, and I also have this 40-year-old woman that I am presently in. So it's like I can tap into that 16-year-old girl and like, oh yeah, I remember what it feels like to be vulnerable. But I'm gonna give this advice from this 40-year-old perspective. So that's what I kind of see is this, and also you have the parents here with the children, and I didn't even notice that, and that's kind of like, so you might be invited to maybe share and help somebody shift the way that they manifest their life by sharing, again, we go back to the communication, to like, maybe you're this person and you're sharing to these children, or maybe you're in a space of, again, I'm tapped into my inner 16-year-old, and my friend who's tapped into their higher self is going to share with me like how they might have, we did this morning. It's like, well, when I was in this situation, this is how I navigated that. Now, can I be a good listener and listen to the information that she's sharing with me? So just coming from stuff like embracing the emotional maturity within yourself is going to help you navigate the chaos and the conflict of navigating what it is that you don't need in your life anymore. Because underneath, and typically I don't get this is typically how she reads, but I got 3 cards. So on the top of it all is, no, there is a structure in your life that is falling, and it is okay to allow that to crumble.
Well, it doesn't serve you. Whatever the structure is, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work out for you, and and I haven't even looked at these actually. You are in the point of manifesting and creating and germinating the seed of your dream that is available out there for you. But now you're in the gestation time. This is where you're going. It's still building, because we have to go through this first and realize what no longer serves us. We can't bring that old baggage into our new life that we're trying to create for ourselves. And I didn't even know that. Because what the Divine Feminine is really focused on is to be able to, like Gemini, right? So it's like we want more balance in our life within our friendships, within our relationships, within how the job mirrors who we are as a collective, or just as ourselves. And what the guidance is for the feminine is it's the end of a difficult time. And I love how this is just like plays right into each other. The end of a difficult situation is, so yeah, your tower might be in the middle of crumbling, but it's, again, this is the end of it. You're at the end of you're at a completion cycle, so accept it.
It's like I keep getting like you built your house on sand and you need to build it on clay.
Yeah. To have the stronger structure
right.
underneath it.
To have the castle that you want. That's beautiful. Like, you can't build it on sand. It's not going to work.
Right. It's going to fall into the ocean. Slide. Embrace the change. So it's like, all right, I'm acknowledging that my tower is crumbling. Things are changing. I may not feel really super safe right now. I may not feel very super secure in whatever it is. So you know what? We're going to go with it. And recover. See what it is, that learn the lesson, and then allow for a healing period to come through it. And don't give up. The other card I get is, well, 5 is change, right?
Mm-hmm. Also, it just pairs with the bear and that introspective healing space.
Let the death happen, like you were talking to the shaman. So even though your tower's crumbling, don't give up. Protect that which you have created. So again, so it's like when the tower has crumbled, go into the wreckage, grab what does serve you. Like, so let's say you have your house burns down and all of this stuff is lost, but it's like you realize you found this like ring in the rubbish, and it's like it was the ring from your grandma. Like, I'm gonna take this and keep this for me. It's like, this is what's left over. I'm gonna take what is salvaged and move forward and let the rest of it just be. Because what it is, I just feel like is, you know, there's the tower falling, maybe within certain relationships. There's these new seeds with other friendships that have started to build, and it's going to, at the end, there's going to be this balance. Okay.
Okay, so the third section of my reading is the sky realm or the upper realm. So this is like messages from spirit, like the bird's eye view, like how God sees the situation, or how spirit or how ancestors, you know, they have this vantage point where they can see the whole situation. Whereas, you know, in the middle plane, like I said, we were seeing that hierarchy and that judgment, and that's how we're seeing it at face value. But from above, it can look a little bit different. So what I'm being shown that they're seeing from above is the first one I get is the Emperor card, and it is tilted, and it wasn't all the way upside down. It was like maybe it was upside down and you've started to do some work. So like you shifted this much. You're starting to do some work. And with the Emperor is the number 4. It's about structure. So this is talking about Saturn, the structure of your life. And I talked a lot about the subconscious written patterns, you know, that we wrote from in our, you know, 0 to 14 age. Those subconscious patterns, whatever was written, it's like we are rewriting that. So maybe this tilt is like you recognize that that patterning doesn't serve anymore. Boom, we're here. We still got to do the work.
But we're not where we want to be maybe yet.
Right. So we still have like all the work to flip this all the way over and recreate a new structure in our life.
Can I elaborate on that?
Mm-hmm.
Gemini. So the theme of this reading is a lot about Gemini. And Gemini rules the 3rd house. And the 3rd house is a part of our conditioning. It is a part of our subconscious mind that manifests our reality out in front of us. It projects it outward so that we can see it out and out. So being able to rewrite that, and it keeps coming up in this reading where that patterning is there, and you're rewriting it right now, building a new structure.
Yeah, what I was seeing with this is like, because we have this like tilt like this, it's like you have a table and you put one leg on it.
But I also see that maybe allowing yourself, so we're talking about percentages, is we might be at this 25% right now.
Yeah.
But what's astrologically is maybe allowing this to unfold over the next 4 years. So not holding yourself accountable of I need to be at where I want to be right now, but I keep seeing that, and you said the number 4, so I keep saying like maybe every year we build a better leg underneath that table.
Yeah, and also with, as you're saying, like, you know, you're holding yourself accountable to being perfect right now is like you have your whole life to arrive at, you know, this place of wisdom. You know, you have till you're 99 to come to this place of wisdom. So if you're only 40, you're not even halfway through the cycle. How can you hold yourself accountable to like having all 4 of these solid legs on this table when it's like you're not even halfway through, right?
Well, so I also think about like the visualization that I get with that is building my business. Is like I'm only a couple years into building my business, and I keep holding myself accountable to people who have been in business for years.
Or even people who have been in it full time versus part time, is like we've been kind of doing it, which is going to be a different structure.
Yep. Yeah. So it's like I need to allow myself to be in this space right now where it might not be as stable as this table having 4 legs underneath it, but I'm starting to build the legs underneath it, just as they probably went through similar lessons as they were building their own.
Yeah, so I definitely get that this Emperor, which comes right after the Empress, so the ability to bring things into the physical manifest, and then the Emperor is basically the one that, so we impregnate things into physical manifest, like a birth of something, and then the Emperor basically stabilizes it. So it's like the birth of this table, this craftsman was constructing it, making the surface of it so beautiful and all that. that, you know, the idea of it, the beauty of it, and then, you know, the emperor comes in and says, okay, but we need really strong legs because the integrity
The top is too heavy.
of, you know, the top may be beautiful and there's so much creativity, but we really need the structure of it to be functional. So, you know, we're rewriting that part of our lives, and I really feel like it goes back into, you know, what I talked to throughout this reading of these subconscious patternings. I really feel like this Saturn card is really talking about rewriting the structure of our lives, not just physically. Remember that this comes into mentally, you know, the structure of, you know, when a bad situation comes, instead of running home and crying, I'm going to, you know, go to the gym and work my steam off. So just restructuring. And the clarifiers that come with it, which both came in reverse, and this is part of why I'm thinking this does have to do with the patterning of the brain, is it comes with truth and the first chakra. So the first chakra definitely pairs well with the emperor, and this is where our support system stems from.
It's our roots.
This is our structure. This is our roots. If you don't feel like you have ground to stand on, you have no stability. You really need the ability to have ground to stand on. When you don't feel like you have ground to stand on, you're erratic, you're dog brain, so you're reactive, you're in a victim mentality of I never have what I need, I'm not safe, I'm not supported. It leads to very erratic behavior.
Well, think about they keep showing me a cedar tree. And a cedar tree has very shallow roots. They actually grow like along the surface level of the land. And it takes a lot of moisture and water to keep that tree sustained. But it's like, if you walk through, like I'm from a town that is primarily cedar trees, and if you walk through the woods, there's a lot of them down, always. There's a lot of trees down. And that's because they have very shallow roots, so the wind gets just right, but they also grow in packs, right? Like,
Yeah.
Because they keep each other safe, because their root system is so shallow that it blocks the wind and all of that kind of stuff, where if the wind comes whipping in, a cedar tree is going to fall over, because if there's not enough moisture in the ground to hold those roots even at a surface level, it's going to fall over, or as it deteriorates.
It's almost like if you have shallow roots and you have a weak root chakra, you really need a strong support system.
Yes.
You know, to help support, to keep you up.
Yes, because
right?
all the trees around
Yes. Whereas, so that's a cedar tree, right? But if you think about an oak tree, which is a very, very strong tree, you know, it can be out in the middle of a field and it holds itself up without support.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, there's a balance between, you know, your support from others and your independence in self, so we don't want to get to a codependent. But definitely within this root chakra, this is about your stability. So if you're having any weakness or dysfunctions in your root chakra, I definitely recommend working with any oil that is from a tree. So it's got that rooting or grounding power, earth energy. You know, actually putting your feet on the earth, actually spending time in nature. Those things are going to help you feel supported. And remembering when you start to feel this erratic thoughts, you know, actually push your feet into the earth and remind yourself there is a floor beneath you, there is earth beneath you.
It's a very yoga philosophy.
Yeah, this is like we're getting into basic like anxiety coping skills, you know, because then the next thing I would do was I would list all the 5 senses. I'd list something I can see Jess. I would list something I can smell the essential oil, and go through the 5 senses, because that's going to bring you right into the here and now earth plane that's out of this hamster wheel of thoughts. And then the truth, and so it's like these are upside down, so our root chakra is not balanced, or we're not grounded or secure, and then we're either not being honest with ourselves within this truth, or this is going to be like popping in, like this is a warning, like this is coming in this week with this, you know, very strong Gemini energy, throat chakra communication, that's going to shake our stability or, you know, help us rebalance it. Okay, so then the advice with resolving, sorry, I jumped ahead of myself. So the second card I get here from the tarot is the 3 of Wands. Okay, so you can see in the imagery of this card that he is standing at the horizon of a space, and he's got 2 wands behind him, and he's got one he's taking forward. So there's something he's leaving behind to take off on a new quest or a new journey. So this is like a new endeavor waits ahead of you, and you're having to leave excuse me, you're having to leave some things behind. And there could be some questions with that. So if we are pairing this with, the structure that's tipping, that you're leaving this structure behind. This could be the structure, of your childhood. This could be the structure of your mind. This could be the structure of your life. And you're having to walk away from something. So there is a little bit of of nervousness, or I wouldn't even say nervousness. I mean, it can be accompanied by of the unknown. So it depends on, I guess I wouldn't say nervous unless the unknown makes you feel nervous, because some people are really excited about what the unknown horizon, holds. Like, oh, that's exciting. What lies around the bend? Whereas other people are like, oh, what lies beyond the bend? Mm-hmm. So there is an unknown feeling to this, but this is suggesting to go forward, because the clarifier I get is freedom. So it's your very high encouragement to take this staff and walk forward and not be afraid of the new journey we're going to be stepping into. Okay, the advice here in the animal totem deck is, this was interesting, this is another one, I'm drawing all just as animal totem cards here, is the fox. But the thing about the fox, so the fox is really cunning. It can trick its own prey. It has this kind of sleek way of, it can get associated like the coyote with a little bit of a trickery. And I'm, there's lots of good things about the fox, but the reason that I'm highlighting that is because there's something under the fox. And I think that the reason that this is showing itself under it is we're sort of tricking our own selves. It's like that masking energy. We're being so cunning that we're tricking our own selves to not believe in our own strength and power.
Or our own intuition.
Yep, so underneath it is the horse, which represents strength, and horses as creatures, if you've ever seen how often they're used for therapy, equine therapy, is they're extremely intuitive horses. So it's not just like they're these huge horses, right? They're these huge things.
But they're very regal.
But they're regal, and they're compassionate. They're like, we always describe them as they're like big dogs.
Right, they don't.
When I lived on the horse farm,
coming in, even when they're stampeding in, there's beauty and there's
grace.
There's grace.
And, so there's this power that we are literally not allowing to come out,
because they can pull carts of things, and
because we sort of have this coy oh, I don't know, and we're just tricking ourselves.
Well, that might be in communication,
letting our own power out,
where you're kind of alluding. So maybe there's a conversation. So maybe you have a crush on somebody, and it's you've been alluding to this and you've been alluding to that, and there's been this very fox kind of energy when it's maybe we need to kind of key into our intuition and have that conversation with that significant other person. Or it's even I've been kind of wanting this job, and I've been
just have the strength to come out with it. Stop beating around the bush is what I hear. Stop beating around the bush. Just say what you mean and mean what you say. Let that out. And that is summing up that. So the structure that doesn't serve us, the new that we're stepping into, is to have the power and the strength to just say, yes, I'm going to take that one. I'm going to take this journey and find this strength within me. And then the medicine here is the Star of Bethlehem in the Bach Flower Remedies. And it is to help deep emotional trauma, past or present, in distress. So again, in the subconscious realm, in these where we've written, where we've stored these traumas, we're being encouraged to release them. This flower remedy is really going to help you if you've experienced great trauma in your life to, at an energetic level, release those things. So it's going to help you become more balanced and be comforted. And so the advice from the Star of Bethlehem is give your stress wings and let it fly away. So there is that. Again, always can purchase these from health food stores. And then to sum up my reading, I'm going to give you this is basically a summary of everything put together into, usually it's just one card, but I got two cards today. The Council and the Owl is what I get. And the Council, as we were talking about earlier, is messages coming from our ancestors. So this is about allowing your own inner wisdom to be heard. This is about looking at your life like a life review, that, idea of the end of life review. Using the Libra scales, this is coming back to the Judgment and the Justice card. And listening to our inner senses. But I'm really getting a lot from this card and from what we've talked about is our ancestors are really trying to help us right now. They're really trying to communicate and come through, and who better but your own lineage who know you best to help, help you make decisions in your life and going forward. And then the second one pairs very well with this because it's really about listening. The owl is the master of the night. It can see the situation with perfect clarity, able to discern truth, helps find your light and lightness in the darkest moments of your life. I really like that. You might be finding yourself in really dark moments and call on owl medicine to help illuminate, bring that light back. So it brings messages to your ears specifically from your ancestors, okay? It brings messages. Pay attention to these messages that are coming in. So not just from your ancestors, but from your friend, from your, whoever, the store clerk, whoever you run into your life. They might have messages for you, but you may not always like them, so don't shoot the message.
Because it might mean that you need to humble yourself.
Yes, okay, yes, exactly. That's exactly where I was going. So remember that the facets you dislike are often mirrors of the own parts of yourself that you do not want to recognize. Don't fear the truth, as it will become your compass. I really like that part. As the truth comes in, it becomes your compass. So as it reveals yourself, then it allows you, to know, that compass of where you're going. It looks unknown here, but that truth is gonna be that compass.
The truth will set you free.
Simply enough. And then coming all the way back to make a full circle. Again, the way we started the reading was we said that to be bold, make the first move. We are stagnating, having faith in our own dreams, or maybe we're not doing really well with believing in that. And then the answers are really on their way. This truth is coming in. Be open to hearing it. Don't block it.
This is the area of the message from Spirit, so I feel like this is going to kind of lead right into where I'm at, because this is from above. Is to key into, so she got the owl in from ancestors, and then I get to come on that is the elk, and it's celebrate it's the energy of nobility, which also kind of goes with that horse energy. Celebrate your accomplishments with humanity. You are crowned with success. So even in our failures, we can find success. So I may not have reacted this way in the past and it was very good, or it was, had a very good outcome. But it's now I've learned that lesson, and it's I'm not going to shame myself for all of those things before, but now it has helped me step forward into this new way of acting where I can do, I'm at a higher vibration. So it's even when I've looked in my past and where I didn't act great, you know what, now I can go off of that as a lesson learned. Or, again, also look to your past and say, oh, I like when I handled the situation like this. This was a good outcome. So find the successes in all the things. Powerful forces are guiding you. Your ancestors are guiding you. Know that they're conditioning your path out in front of you so that you're heading exactly where you need to go.
Or they're the way the image I got was when you're on a trail and there's those flags, that keep you on the trail. It's look for those. Look for that flag that's over here, or don't go here. It's but I get the flags are going to be here, 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 taking you along that path and keeping you on the right path.
Yes. Your abilities to conquer challenges are limitless. So what I encourage all of my clients with the law of manifestation is to send the energy out for your ancestors, your spirit guides to show you. You can even make the rules. Whenever I see why am I overthinking this? Whenever I see a blue jay or a cardinal, oh, we came with birds. This means this. So it's okay, the thoughts that so when I see a cardinal, check with yourself. Oh yeah, I was thinking about Grandpa. Grandpa's giving me guidance to go here. So you always have those accessibilities. Off of that, I get what is here is this promise. There's the choice. There's all these choices. You are the weaver of your own web, which came up with the manifesting from the emotional side. Is you are the writer of your story. You and Gemini is duality. You're going to see two choices out in front of you. So know that you always have a choice. So what is it, head in the direction that makes you feel like the Three of Cups, like instead of always going to the friends where there's always this challenge and strife and drama and bullshit. Sorry. And then you notice that when you hang out,
getting the fire going.
when you hang out in this area, it's like, yeah, there might be challenges, there might be struggle, there might be this, but it's like, I feel good in this energy. Or when I go to this job, I don't feel good, but it's like when I go into this job, like there's more fun or whatever. So it's like there's all these choices around you. You get to choose the path that you're going to go on. Again, it's all interconnected. You're going to get to wherever you go, whatever choice that you make. But trust your gut. Like if I'm thinking about moving over here and my stomach is like, ooh, again, like she said, like there might be these flags that come up that say, like, how do you feel? Like she was doing a reading for me last night and she was talking about this one specific thing. And she's like, I just keep feeling like I'm getting heartburn. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that direction might be a little bit more uncomfortable for me as I go forward. Because I think that these two cards, maybe what we've been going through is all of this chaos and conflict. So that card has come up a lot in our reading today. Is there's been a lot of chaos and conflict. Gemini can feel very chaotic.
Oh yeah, with the thoughts, because there's so much thought, there's so much analysis, and it's quick.
And this card wanted to be on its side. And it's like, it's the Three of Swords. This is heartache. So again, maybe we've been going through heartache. We've been going through all of this stuff. But it's like, again, there is the potential for this. Let this be in the past of knowing that there always is going to be chaos.
Are we
and
like
conflict.
assuming that that's gonna? Are we setting
That's what
ourselves
I'm
up for
saying.
play? Or rewriting our story? Like, oh, it could be that, but probably it always ends up like that.
Mm-hmm. So then we're manifesting experiences into our life where it's always going to end like that. So maybe if you start manifesting that this is what you want, like, writing in your manifestation log. I have it, like what I do is I'm like, I have a job that is, I know for myself, I need a stable environment. I know I need consistency for myself. Instead of always saying like, oh, my job is so inconsistent. Oh, I never know what I'm going to do. Like, I'm manifesting more experiences in my life where I'm going to feel like that. Where it's like, if I'm telling the universe, like, hey, universe, like, I know that for me to be at my highest level so I can be a good creator, I need a stable environment. I need consistency in my routine, blah, 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 blah. Then you're manifesting choices into your life that are going to be this instead of this. But again, we always get the choice, okay? So that's spirit, I think, is like chaos and conflict right now is showing you the duality of this versus this.
Well, that you are co-creating, manifesting your own destiny, but also depending on
And it comes through the choices that you make.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Wow, I was about to say that, but it depends on the experiences, not just the choices that you make, but the experiences that you need, the lessons that you need to learn.
Or the subconscious programming.
Unfortunately, maybe you do need to learn about what the Three of Swords feels like. Because maybe you've done that to other people, and to balance that karma, like, you need to know how that feels, because that's going to make you be like, oh, I'm not going to do that again. That felt terrible, and I wouldn't want anybody to feel that.
Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, what I get is the best advice for overall is to act in your nobility, to be noble. Surround yourself with energy that is, comforting and healthy for you. And understand that you're always going to have the help that you need to go forward, but act with nobility, and then I get unity. So it is really about how are we going to bring this all together? Traditional viewpoints or methods, spiritual organizations seek mentors and like-minded individuals. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, when I go to this person and they give me advice, they're always kind of like, well, you should just break up with them, or they always jump on that bandwagon where you're right, like, they suck. Or are you going to objective individuals that allow you to see both sides of the situation?
But either way, if you're going to seek mentors and like-minded friends, that's gonna, like, this unity is gonna bring us into communication. Yes. Which brings us all the way back into the theme right now in astrology is about this communication.
Okay, so all the chaos and the conflict that's been going on versus the choices that you have been making in the past versus the choices of where you want to go in the future, is this how you want things to end? Or is this how you want things to end? So if there has been a conflict, what I get off of what she just said, if there has been this conflict in your life that you've been dealing with, are you going to walk away resentful, bitter, mad, angry, hurt? Or are you going to try and communicate and come to a resolution that brings the situation to the Three of Cups, where it's like, okay, yeah, we had this conflict, but now we're celebrating that we overcame it.
Yeah, even if I don't necessarily get 100% what I wanted, maybe I get 50% what I wanted, and that's better than 0%. The other thing I get with your nobility card is lapis. Lapis is an excellent stone to help us remain in our integrity and our nobility, and it's not the first stone that's recommended for communication, but I've always associated it with communication. I think just because when I communicate, I want to communicate from a place of integrity and nobility. And so that's a really important one to me. Keep in mind I have...
It also helps, though, it is a stone that carries a very high vibration.
Yes.
That allows you to to get sudden inspiration and thoughts. So it's like, if there's this integrity, you're going to have integral thoughts that are going to come in, which rules the mind.
So in the logic. I think probably why, for me, this is really good for communication is because I am an Aries, Mercury, so I need to remain in a space of integrity and mobility when I speak, because I can be a little blunt-tongued or sword-tongued, as they would say.
Scorpio.
And just real quick here, I'll mention a couple other things that might help with all this communication stuff going on, Gemini energy duality. So we're talking about third eye, like you just said, and the throat chakra. Some essential oils that will help that are going to be Elaine Elaine, and we highlighted bergamot this week for our communication kit. And then the crystals that are going to be recommended, I talked about the lapis, turquoise, aquamarine, and again in our kit, the self-expression kit, is the blue agate. So those are going to be helpful in supporting this energy. The bergamot is going to help people who don't feel like they can speak and to have self-acceptance. Some affirmations that are going to help with communication this week are going to include, I live my truth and communicate it easily, and my integrity is my word, and my word is my truth.
Very good. I would even write those down and recite them as mantras, so that you're kind of fake it till you make it. If that's an area of struggle for you, doing that meditation, doing the self-hypnosis, or those kinds of things, mantras, they help to reprogram the subconscious, so that's maybe how you act. You might not be there now, but maybe next year you're acting in a different way because you kept up with it. So
I mentioned our kit. So our most recent kit, that we released is for self-expression, creativity, or the throat chakra, and that does include bergamot essential oil, white sage, and blue agate bracelet. You can check that out on our website. We have two websites, her and I. Mine is sacredrootsgrow.com, and hers is anewmoonllc.com, and you can look at that if you want those support tools.
Absolutely. All right, I hope you navigate this energy with grace and ease. So thank you for joining us, and namaste.
Namaste.